From a humble 1993 Ford Fiesta to rebuilding wrecked supercars, Mat Armstrong has taken the automotive world by storm. Raised by a mechanic father, he's got gasoline in his veins and a passion for bringing smashed-up dream cars back to life. Now, as one of the biggest automotive YouTubers on the planet, his garage is filled with total wrecks that have turned into road-ready beasts, and we're here for every second of it. If there's one car in Mat Armstrong's collection that perfectly captures his wild go big or go home approach, it is the 2012 Lamborghini Gallardo LP 564. And let's be honest, this thing is an absolute monster. Mat took an already impressive Italian supercar and cranked it up to a ridiculous 850 horsepower, thanks to a push-performance twin-turbo kit. That's a serious step up from the stock 552 bhp, making this Gallardo an absolute rocket on wheels. But Mat didn't just stop at performance. This Lambo also has serious style. It's wrapped in a killer satin Arctic camo with a gloss orange stripe, making sure it turns heads everywhere it goes. And just to add even more personality, he threw on air suspension and a roof box because, well, why not? It's the ultimate mix of performance and practicality. Well, as practical as an 850 horsepower Lambo can be. With a price tag of around $175,000, this Gallardo isn't just a masterpiece. It is built to be driven, and Mat's taken it on some epic European road trips. It's loud, fast, and unapologetically over the top, just like we'd expect from one of Mat's builds. But if you thought the Gallardo was well built, wait until you see what Mat did with his 2019 Aston Martin Vantage. This one wasn't about raw horsepower. It was about bringing a damaged beauty back to life. Mat picked up the Vantage for an absolute steal, just $64,000, which was half of its market value. But there was a catch. It had some serious front-end damage, no headlights, and a wrecked bonnet. Most people would have walked away, but Mat saw the potential, and after 4 months of meticulous restoration, this British beast was back on the road, looking better than ever. And of course, in true Mat Armstrong fashion, he didn't just fix it, he made it better. He wrapped it in a striking bright satin orange and added carbon fiber bonnet vents straight from an Aston Martin GT3 car. It was one of his most challenging rebuilds, but the result? A jaw-dropping Vantage that's equal parts class and aggression. And just when you thought Mat couldn't push things any further, enter his 2007 Maserati Gran Turismo, an absolute showstopper with a story to match. If the Aston Martin was all about careful restoration, this Maserati was about going all in on aggressive styling and pure drama. Mat didn't just modify the car, he transformed it. It rocks a full Liberty Walk body kit, giving it that wide and menacing stance, and sits on an air suspension system that lets it ride low and mean. And let's not forget the heart of this beast, the legendary F136 V8, a masterpiece born from Ferrari and Maserati's collaboration. But Mat, being, well, Mat, he wasn't about to leave it sounding tame, so he went full send with a custom straight-piped exhaust. The result? A sound that could wake the dead.
I think it sounds okay. Actually, okay, cool.
The wheels are just as insane. Custom alloys done in collaboration with Project's Design, with a ridiculous negative 81mm offset that makes this thing look planted. And here's the craziest part. The Gran Turismo actually survived a brutal accident, but was fully restored to its former glory. It's loud, it's wide, it's over the top, and it's exactly the kind of build that makes Mat's collection so special. But where the Maserati is all about wide-body insanity with Italian flair, Mat's 2012 Toyota GT86 takes a bit of a different approach. It's the definition of a budget build done right. This was one of his cheapest purchases, snagged for just $4,700, but as always, Mat has big plans. First up, he gave it that unmistakable Rocket Bunny widebody kit, instantly transforming the GT86 from a sleek little coupe into a proper street weapon. Sitting on a set of Japan racing alloys and rocking an aftermarket exhaust that cost just $415, this car proves that you don't need a six-figure budget to build something truly special. But what really makes this GT86 stand out isn't just the mods, it's the story behind it. After putting in all the work, Mat didn't keep this one for himself. Instead, he gifted it to his cameraman, proving that his builds aren't just about creating cool cars. but also about sharing the passion with the people around him. And if you thought that Mat was done with insane rebuilds, well, think again, because his 2017 Porsche 718 Cayman S might be one of the biggest comeback stories in his collection. Mat's 2017 Porsche 718 Cayman S is the perfect example of his ability to take a total wreck and turn it into something truly special. When he bought the car, it was in rough shape. It had been in a rollover accident, leaving it in need of serious repairs. But rather than seeing a lost cause, Mat saw an opportunity. For just $62,000, he picked up what was officially the cheapest 718 Cayman S in the entire country. That price might still sound steep, but considering how expensive these cars are, especially in good condition, it was an absolute bargain. The challenge? Bringing it back to life and making it even better than before. The restoration process was no small task. Fixing a car that's been rolled isn't just about replacing panels. It requires structural work to ensure it drives properly and safely. Mat and his team put in the effort, and once the car was solid again, it was time for the fun part, making it look and perform like a GT4. To achieve that aggressive GT4-inspired look, Mat gave the Cayman a bold orange paint job, making sure it stood out just as much as it performed. He also added a set of custom wheels with a perfectly flush fitment, giving it that planted, ready race stance. The end result? Well, a car that looked like it belongs on a track, but with a backstory that makes it even more impressive. This build is yet another example of why Mat Armstrong's collection is so exciting. He doesn't just buy expensive cars and call it a day. He finds the ones that need saving, puts in the work, and ends up with something truly one of a kind. And while Mat's collection is packed with insane sports cars and supercars, there's one vehicle that stands out for a completely different reason: his 2015 Range Rover. This is the only SUV in his lineup, but of course, in true Mat Armstrong fashion, this wasn't just a simple purchase. Nope, this one started off in rough shape, with smashed windows and a damaged bonnet, making it yet another major restoration project. But instead of just fixing it up to factory spec, Mat took things a step further. He gave it a full makeover, upgrading it to look like the 2018 model with a fresher, more modern design. Then came the finishing touches. He wrapped it in a sleek satin black, giving it that aggressive, stealthy look, and threw on a set of massive custom 23-inch alloy wheels to complete the transformation. Now, even though this is the only SUV in Mat's collection, it fits right in with his style: bold, custom, and completely unique. Now, if there's one car in Mat Armstrong's collection that truly defines the phrase dream project, it has to be his 2002 Lamborghini Murcielago. This isn't just any Lamborghini, it is a proper old-school V12 supercar, the kind of machine that every car enthusiast grew up with on their bedroom wall. But of course, Mat didn't pick up a pristine example. That wouldn't be his style. When he got his hands on this Murcielago, it had been sitting for a staggering 7 years, completely non-running. Most people would have seen that as a massive red flag, but Mat saw it as a challenge. He picked it up for a cool $330,000, which, even in its rough condition, was still a serious investment. And to make things even more interesting, the car didn't even come with the engine installed. It was separate, meaning this was going to be a full-on rebuild from the ground up. Under the hood, or at least eventually under the hood, was Lamborghini's legendary 6.2-liter V12, producing 580 horsepower and launching the Murcielago from 0 to 60 miles an hour in just 3.6 seconds. But before Mat could even think about performance, he had to tackle one of the biggest headaches: oil leaks. With an engine like this, even a small leak can turn into a massive problem, so getting everything sealed up and running properly was a top priority. And just when you think Mat's collection couldn't get any more diverse, he brings in something straight out of a time capsule: the legendary E24 BMW 635 CSI. This isn't just any classic BMW. It is a barn find, a piece of automotive history that had been left to rot for 20 years before Mat got his hands on it. Naturally, it wasn't even running when he purchased it, but that just made the challenge even more exciting. Most people would have just tried to get it running again and, called it a day, but Mat wanted to make it special. One of the biggest upgrades, converting it from an automatic to a manual. This wasn't a simple bolt-on job either. He had to source a proper manual gearbox from a BMW E21 5 Series, giving this classic coupe that engaging driving experience it always deserved. The E24 635 CSI is one of those cars that defined BMW's reputation for making stylish, driver-focused grand tours. And with Matt's dedication to restoring and upgrading it, this once-forgotten relic is now back on the road, looking and driving better than ever. It's a perfect example of why Matt's builds are so much more than just fixing cars. They're about bringing legends back to life. And now let's talk about one of the most hardcore driver's cars in Matt's collection, the Porsche 911 GT3. But in true Mat Armstrong fashion, this wasn't just any GT3. Nope, this one came with a wild backstory. It was previously owned by YouTuber Adam LZ and had been through a major accident in the US, meaning it needed some serious repair work before it could hit the road again. The damage was no joke. Matt had to completely replace the front subframe along with fitting new suspension components to get the car driving properly again. And since the GT3 is all about precision handling, of course he didn't cut any corners. He even installed new carbon ceramic brake discs, ensuring that this track-ready beast could stop just as well as it could go. But here is the best part. After all the work, the car was officially certified by Porsche, proving that it was restored to factory standards. That is a huge deal, especially for a high-performance car like the GT3, where every component needs to be dialed in perfectly. Now, this Porsche isn't just back on the road, it's back to being an absolute weapon on the track. And now let's talk about Matt's biggest challenge yet, his BMW M3 project. If you thought his past builds were, ambitious, this one takes things to a whole new level. The brand new BMW M3, with only 400 meters on the clock, has not even been properly driven. But instead of heading to a happy new owner, this car had a nightmare start to life, crashing straight into a house. We're talking severe damage, a smashed rear screen, cracked windows, and a completely destroyed front end with the bumper, bonnet, headlights, and front wing all in ruins. And the craziest part, when Matt found it, the car still had its plastic wraps on. That's how fresh it was before things went south. Now, any sane person would have walked away, but Matt, of course, he saw a challenge. He's taken on this M3 as a budget project, aiming to restore it without completely draining his wallet. It's a series I'm going to be watching for sure. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this.